if someone burns a Quran tomorrow and riots erupt in 100 countries, as they likely would, the only people who are going to immediately come forward and talk about the clear link between what Muslims believe and this despicable behavior are the crackpot pastors and the right-wing demagogues. Sarah Palin and some homophobic pastor in Florida. They will actually be speaking quite sensibly about the link between doctrinal Muslim beliefs and this rioting. And then you're going to have the New York Times op-ed page and people like Reza saying this has nothing to, and even the President of the United States saying this has nothing to do with Islam. Well, of course it has something to do with Islam. Everything we see about the character of Muslim violence, the fact that people are being decapitated as opposed to some other method of dispatching them, there's a direct link between that and Muslim doctrine, and we have to speak honestly about that. And I would just point out that there are Muslims doing quite heroic work, very few of them, but there are Muslims, like Majid Nawaz, who will take a line quite opposite of the line that Reza is taking, which is to acknowledge the role that traditional Muslim doctrines are playing, traditional Islamic doctrines are playing in engineering this kind of violence, and then do their best to come up with rival interpretations and some kind of reformist imperative within the Muslim community. And so I'm not saying we have to just foist atheism upon the Muslim world, although I am an atheist, but someone like Majid Nawaz, as a Muslim, is saying, listen guys, we have to be honest about this. This is coming from the Quran and the Hadith, and these people think they're going to get into paradise, and they're motivated by their religion, and it's not a lie to say any of these things, and we as Muslims have an excruciating problem trying to reform our discussion about faith so as to make apostasy a non-punishable offense and blasphemy a non-punishable offense. And that's a huge challenge, but you're not going to clear that bar by lying about the motives of people, and that's what someone like Reza does.
Nor by lying about what you wrote. And in fact, after that you were misconstrued after you wrote that. We did a segment on that here, which we'll put a link so that people can check it out in the resource well underneath the video that we're watching, where we tried to clarify exactly what you'd said. But just lastly, are you overall an optimist or a pessimist? You look at what's going on with ISIS. The president's going to give a speech tomorrow night. Syria and Iraq are collapsing. This is the most virulent strain of Islamism that we've probably ever seen.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah, I don't know in terms of optimism and pessimism. It could clearly go either way. I think the truth is on the side of the right ideas, obviously. I mean, insofar as having your beliefs track reality is useful, humanity is going to tend to keep finding true and non-sectarian beliefs increasingly compelling. And I think insofar as we have a global conversation about anything, that conversation is going to tend to rise above the accidents of anyone's birth and the distinctions between cultures, and that is just by definition going to purify the conversation of incompatible religious bigotry. So religion's going to lose ground in that process, and it continually loses ground to science. There's no question upon which we once had a scientific answer, but now that has been ceded back to religion, and yet there are a countless number of questions where it has gone the other way, and it's a unilateral. Religion's losing the tug of war with science, but whether one should be optimistic about any local political reality, it's hard to say.
Well, from your lips to God's ears about the overall trajectory. Thanks, Sam. Great to have you on HuffPost.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thanks for joining us. Come back anytime. For more information on Sam's book, Waking Up, you can check out our resource well below. Stick around, of course. Plenty more conversations coming up right here on HuffPost Live.